Hey, Evan Sohn, and he's with recruiter.com, the CEO. And I'm excited about this because I know this is a problem getting people recruited, good people recruited for your business. And we're going to talk about the war for talent. And my video is not working, but that's totally fine because that is part of being live. So we're just going to roll with it, Evan. Sometimes technology doesn't do what I want it to do. I like my little intro video, but some reason I clicked it and it wouldn't roll. So the war on talent, I saw this on your LinkedIn profile where we connected, and the title really grabbed my attention. And then I saw you're the CEO of recruiter.com. Can you give me a little background of, your experience with recruiter.com? Did you create it? Did you purchase it? The whole story behind that.
Yeah. So thanks, Edwin. And again, thanks me for having me on your show.
Yeah.
And I got involved with recruiter.com about 3 years ago. Recruiter.com's been around for a little while. Really is a media company. It has, at the end of the day here, I always, how do you make your money? So as a media company, you make your money selling advertisement. And that's what recruiter.com was. It was an advertising platform all around recruiting and candidates and talent acquisition, et cetera. Huge, giant audience of recruiters, recruiting, all things recruiting, a real destination site for talent acquisition and recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
$4.5 million worth of organic traffic monthly, so pretty big, right? 3.5 million social media touch points, et cetera, et cetera. And I got involved about 3 years ago, really to transform the company from just being a media company to being a transactional platform. And the thesis was, you have all of these experts in talent acquisition, recruiters. Let's actually leverage this platform of recruiters to help companies of all sizes recruit talent faster. So we think of it as the Uber for recruiting. And when you think of recruiting, you think typically of a headhunter, but you can in-house recruiting. These are all things that exist today at companies. So we have large companies, small companies. What they all have in common is everyone is hungry for candidates and talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to make our recruiters extra special, we actually invested millions of dollars into AI software, true AI software, that gives us access to over 150 million profiles in our database. And we use our software to find and engage candidates interested in jobs. And then we deliver those candidates either to our recruiters on behalf of the clients or directly to the clients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all around recruiting talent faster.
That's awesome. So basically, this investment in AI allows you to take the data within your database and go, this is probably the most likely qualified candidate for you.
Right. It's and take it further, right? So there's search and then engagement. Our software lets us say, client X needs the following types of individual, and we'll build an audience of that individual through our software. Our AI software will build, okay, there's 5,000 of those in the geographic area that our client is interested in. And then our software will actually campaign A/B testing, line change, content, et cetera, to get those candidates to actually raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in that position. And then we will leverage our recruiters to screen them or send them right over as warm candidates to our clients. It's a very, very powerful platform when you combine both the software side and the recruiting side. Because, at the end of the day here, if you're running a business, your job is not to find people. Your job is to run the business. And you want to have something that's actually doing that for you, something that's actually getting candidates into the door. And that's really what we do. So let's go back to the title, The War for Talent. Really, if I can give another soundbite, is 3 years ago or 5 years ago, finding a job was a full-time job. You heard that expression? Finding a job is a full-time job. And I would probably say that in 22, finding people is a full-time job. So that's really what's changed since the pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I think the pandemic, the whole closure, it got people reevaluating, how do I want to work? Where do I want to work? From where do I want to work?
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
I
saw a big
completely
change in
agree with you. I think there are three real macro trends going on in the industry today. Two are episodic and one is systemic. So the first one is really the talent shortage, right? So restaurants are closed, they can't open, staffing shortage, flights are canceled, all these sort of conversations that we're having because the hourly worker, far and few between, right? There's 4% unemployment, 10.5 million open jobs. There lies the disparity between all the stuff that's actually happening. And that's episodic, right? We'll get that resolved.
yeah.
Salary, wage inflation, we're getting people coming back, all these other things. And we have clients that are asking us to help fill factory floors and manufacturing and all these other things, logistics. The second really is the Great Resignation. So in October, we actually did a thing on CNBC where we said the Great Resignation is upon us, looking at the data that we had. And like 2 weeks later, they reported that 4.5 million people quit in August. So what's interesting, Edwin, is that what most people don't realize, to no fault of their own, is that people quit every month, right? The US has on average a 22% voluntary turnover. So forget the layoffs, 22% on an annual basis. Financial services like 15%, retail might have 80%, but on average it's like 22%. So people quit every month. In fact, in 2019, the number is like 3.3 to 3.5 million people quit on average every month. So the 1 million more people quitting in August is certainly a greater resignation, but it's a million more than usually quit, right? It wasn't 4.5 million that no one ever quits. It was a million more than usual. And what you started to see happen, as you basically indicated, is it wasn't just the restaurant, take this job and shove it, I'm done, I'm going across the street. It was knowledge workers. It was people who were saying, hey, look, I moved to Florida during COVID. My company wants me to come back. I'm never going back into an office full time. Or,
Right.
hey, you know what? I like being home with the kids when they come home from school. I'm not going back full time. Grandma used to watch, or the children while I went to work. Grandma died, or grandma's too scared to come out, so I can't do that anymore. So you start to see this sort of, I hate using the word great with everything, but this great reevaluation, sort of how do I want to work? And you basically really picked up on that. And so kudos to you. But that too is episodic, right? The Great Resignation we predict will slow up probably by the summer. What that means is it'll get back to, it'll decrease, right? You sort of had this built up, gee, my office is coming back, I don't want to come back, all these other things. But what's not going to change is what was started before the pandemic, is you really start to see out in Silicon Valley what we now call the job hopper economy. So if you were out in Silicon Valley and you saw the resume of someone and in 12 years they worked at 3 or 4 companies, you'd actually say, she's an incredible software engineer. She's not a job hopper. She must be amazing. And now we're seeing that really cascade into lots of other industries. So it was happening before, and now it's happening throughout. So this job hopper economy. So let's look at why that's actually happening. So interviewing used to be done in person, right? You put on a suit, you'd fly out, or you drive away, and you got to take the afternoon off. Like I said, it was a full-time job to find a job. Now interviewing is done on video, right? Zoom, 15-minute Zoom. If I am working from home or even hybrid, I have a lot more time available to interview, right? Who doesn't have 15 minutes to be interviewing? The application process has actually gotten much, much, much easier, right? You click on a button, right? Every company, they're looking for people. You go to LinkedIn, you go to Indeed, you click, 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 click. You can now apply to jobs, etc. And at the same time, if I could work from anywhere, right now, I can actually take a job from anywhere. I'm no longer limited. This notion, Edwin, of a geographically undesirable job really just doesn't exist. I said back in October that everyone in this country is now more valuable than they were 3 years ago. I don't care if you're the dishwasher, the waiter, the chief product officer, the Java developer. Everyone in this country is more valuable because someone will pay me more money for the role that I do today. So I could work from anywhere. I could interview anytime I want. Now, so the only thing that was missing, Edwin, was the stigma of leaving a company quickly. And now that's gone, right? 4 out of 10 people are looking for opportunities. 60% of all millennials have no problem leaving a job within the first 6 months. So if we've eliminated this notion of, oh, switching a job every year is a bad thing, oh my God, this job hopper economy is not systemic, is not episodic. It's going to be a systemic problem. And those things are really causing this war for talent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All the points you bring up. I think there's another point, just as you were talking, it was getting me thinking. And thank you for this incredible insight. I can tell that you've really done the analytics and the study and really looked at all the layers of this. But there's also another layer, which is more and more people like, how do I get an online gig? Meaning TikTok, YouTube. How do I sell stuff on Amazon? I think there's side hustles.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So 35% of all adults have a side hustle. Crazy,
Yeah.
right? So 35% of all adults in the US have a side hustle. I saw a statistic that said 50% of all millennials have a side hustle. But yeah, I think it's, and again, if we're not spending 2 hours a day commuting, then we have more time available to us to do these sort of side hustles.
Yes.
I actually, I was actually had speculated when someone asked me, where are all these hourly workers? Where'd they go? Right? How'd that happen? Where'd they all go? And when no one's tracking, and you really picked up on it, Edwin, no one's tracking the gig economy. If let's assume I'm a hardworking individual and pre-pandemic, I worked at 2 factories, right? The first factory I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I worked, a 15-hour or, a 13-hour shift, 14-hour shift. And then I worked at the next factory Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? I'm a double hardworking individual. I got 2 jobs, etc. Pandemic comes, they both, shut down, furlough me, whatever it is. And I decide, what, instead of taking that, I start now driving for DoorDash or Uber. So now the economy opens up. I go back to that first factory, and now I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the factory, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm not working at that other factory. I'm driving for DoorDash. That's not going to show up on the statistic. That's going to show up as an open job that no one could fill. So I definitely think that the gig economy is playing into a lot of these roles. As people said, gee, my side hustle became my primary hustle.
Yeah, it's funny. I was at a restaurant and I was sitting at the bar to get a drink before we were going to have dinner. And there was an older gentleman there. And we just, for whatever reason, we were talking about sports. And of course, it led to, well, what do you do for a living? And he goes, well, I'm retired. And, but, I got bored. So now I drive Uber in the mornings and I'm making $50,000 a year. I was like,
that's right.
This guy's
Amazing,
making 50
right?
grand a year driving 4 or 5 hours. He gets up like 5 o'clock in the morning. By 10 a.m., he's done because I live in Las Vegas. So he's driving people to work or to the airport, gets to write off all his miles. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Now, you're going to say, why would I want to go back to working in a factory or working in a restaurant where, clocking in, clocking out when I could, be a DoorDasher or driving Uber? And, there are a variety of reasons and economic events that are pushing that back. But and I think there's a real challenge there. And that's, again, why there's a war for talent, right? And what we need to do is really as commerce is really adjust to these new priorities, right? In other words, how do we attract that retired guy to actually work in our store, our factory, our warehouse, our office, part-time, right? How do we create those opportunities that really tap into this quality of life, the work-life balance, et cetera?
Yeah. So you bring up a good point. So obviously you have a platform, recruiter.com, which I'm showing down here. I'm with Evan Sohn, the CEO of recruiter.com. Thank you once again for joining us. And you're providing me with some really, really interesting insights that I know is going to be valuable to people. So let's say you're consulting a major company. They may not be Fortune 500, but they're a big company, big restaurant chain, or a big warehouse. And they say, Evan, what do we got to do here? What would
help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Totally like Yoda. Bring me the tablets. Bring me the answers. What are some shifts that these CEOs and HR departments need to do?
Okay, so let's go back to the theme, the war for talent. I think, I grew up in a day and age where, the expression money solves all problems. I don't think it solves it anymore, right? I
Right.
think that there's a work-life balance, there's quality life, there are experiences. And I think that as business owners, we need to not just throw money at the problem, although you can, but you really need to craft, look at the roles that you have in the company and figure out what's going to be interesting for someone coming in. How do you
Mm.
attract someone that wants to be part of your organization and your culture? Is it a training ground? Is it, hey, this is a great stepping stone if you want to be a fill in the blank? Hey, we allow people to work 4 days a week, right? We allow part-time people. We have flex schedule, right? So I think those are the things that companies are thinking about. By the way, one of our clients, a great technology company, and I was talking with their global head of talent about marketing the careers as 24-month careers. Hey, this is a
Totally.
24-month project, right?
Yeah.
Come here, you know, does anyone really want to work in a call center for the rest of their life? Probably not. I don't know, but assume the majority don't. So instead, market that role as, hey, get great experience in the mortgage industry, work with customers, get customer experience. How? Well, you're going to work in a call center for a year and, you'll progress and you'll manage people, blah, 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 blah. So really think about the skills that you think you can impart to an individual
Mm.
and look at the end, right?
Yeah.
Hey, when you're done here, here's the skills that you're going to have that you'll be able to take to the next whatever role you're going to work at.
Great point. I love that. I mean, the military does that. Join 4 years,
That's right.
you can walk out being a mechanic on an airplane mechanic or whatever, learn leadership skills, do 4 years, 5 years, serve your country, walk out with some skill sets.
Yeah. So by the way, you mentioned the military. I gave a talk in October, and I actually looked at the advertising for the military over the last decades. I grew up with Uncle Sam Wants You, right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very like General Electric, General Motors. Come work for me for the rest of your life, right? The Army
Yeah.
wants you. Come work for us. Then it became, let's see, be all you can be, right? So be all you can be. So a
Yeah.
little bit more self development. Then it became, hey, how did I get this great career? I went to the Army. I learned about air conditioner repair. I learned how to be a technician. So your development. And now when you see advertisements now, it's about, I wanted to go to Germany. I went to the Air Force. They took me to Germany. I went to the military. They took me. It's about experiences. And,
Right.
look, the Army is probably fantastic, at marketing. And, that's the changing world that we live in. It's not about, hey, come work. Like, we don't say Uncle Sam wants you anymore. No one
No.
does that. It's about, hey, look, join the Army, and we're going to take you to fantastic places, give you great experiences. It's actually about the here and now, right? The career was about, hey, when you're done, you're going to get this great career when you're done. And now it's really about the experience. So again, I think as a company, you got to figure out what's it going to take to get people into that experience. We do this recruiter index. So we survey our recruiters every month. And we publish the data. We talk about it on CNBC, usually the day before the jobs report, give a little sentiment. And one of the things that we were tracking from the recruiter's perspective are the candidates' priorities. And compensation at the beginning of this process was high. Compensation now is like 30, I think it's like 31% of a number one priorities. Like 69% of the candidates prioritize something above compensation, which is really just remarkable. But you saw people, there was a survey done. People would take a 20% pay cut to work remote. And again, these are in different industries, different areas, different industries. So how do you do that in a company that wants to be full-time, full-time in person? Obviously, hospitality, you can't do that in a restaurant or a hotel. You can't do these things. So it's going to be a struggle for for business owners to sort of figure out, how do I align my culture to the candidate's culture?
Yeah. I also think what's going to happen is so I'm in Vegas where the hospitality business is the business that we're in, the city. And I've seen a lot of, they have signs up going, be patient with us. We're shorthanded. You see this all
Oh
over
yeah,
Las
all the
Vegas
time, right?
all the time. And I was like, man, I was talking to this young girl and she's like, where do I want a side hustle? I'm like, go to a bar or a restaurant, they're hiring, and you probably make really great tips if you're just friendly and you're the one showing up, actually delivering good service. You're going to be such a rare commodity. You probably pitch on tips.
That's
She's like, I
right.
never thought of it that way, you know?
That's right. And again, the let's go back to the theme. The war for talent means you just can't do the same thing you used to do and
Yep.
expect the same result. That's
Yep.
it, right? You just can't do the same thing. You got to change it up. You got to change the compensation. You got to change, hey, work here, get this, stay here for 6 months, do this. By the way, maybe you're a restaurant owner and you own a restaurant in 2 different cities. Great. Guess what? I'll pay for you to go to the other city every 6 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's creating interesting opportunities.
Yeah, I agree with you. So now tell me a little bit about the website. So people go to the website, recruiter.com. What are some of the benefits and services that someone would gain by going there and engaging?
Yeah. So when you say someone, let's break it up. We run a bunch of career communities. So if you're in the media industry, we run a thing called Media Bistro, which is probably like the number one niche job board for media roles and media positions. So we run a series of career communities. We'll be rolling out more. But our primary business is really helping businesses of all sizes recruit talent faster. So
Okay.
our market, in a marketplace, you have supply and you have demand. The demand are really from businesses looking for talent, and the supply side is recruiters of all different sizes. We have 40,000+ on our platform today, and then we have software for candidate pipelining. So if you're a business, and I'll give you a prediction that I made a couple weeks ago that by the end in 22, first of all, the U.S. will spend far more hiring in 22 than they did in 2019. You can go to our website, and I blogged about it not too long ago. But the same way that every business really spends money on security, right? The biggest companies have a chief security officer and a whole security department. Smaller companies have a VPN and firewalls. But we all have antivirus, anti-spam on our software. Like, we all are spending money somehow, or most of us are, on security. We actually believe that companies, certainly of 50 and above, will spend money on talent acquisition and retention. So we actually launched a new service called My Recruiter. If you go to start.recruiter.com/myrecruiter, you'll see it. It's a 100% subscription service. Starts at $1,000 a month. No headhunter fee, no placement fee. You get a certified talent advisor who works with you, helps you craft the job description, the right salary information, uses our tools, and delivers to you a curated list, curated candidates interested in your role. And then they're there to do that as you need to hire people, or you need other things like how to comply with interviewing policies to make sure you're not violating any diversity issues. All these other things that we're doing it as a 100% subscription model. And it's real exciting to watch, because now we can help everybody. We're not just helping the Zooms and the Pfizers who are actually clients of ours. We're helping the law firms, the accounting firms, all these other service organizations that are typically in this 20 to 50 person size, that are just really struggling with getting talent. And we're here to help everyone find the right talent.
That's awesome. I think that's going to be extremely popular, because I think the one thing that you said that really attracted my attention is no headhunter fee.
Absolutely. Yeah, and who wants to look, a headhunter fee, Edward, made sense when I was hiring you and you'd work for me for 25 years.
Right.
It probably still makes sense when you're going to be there for 10 years. It might make sense when you're going to be there for 5 years. It doesn't make sense when you're going to be there for 18 months.
Right.
It just doesn't. And so if you are hiring more and more and more, how the hell do you do that? So we just signed up a nice accounting, relatively small, accounting firm, and they're probably doing, one hire a month. Well, I think for the price of our service, let's assume $1,000 a month. So for $18,000 a year, that's the equivalent of one headhunter fee for one of those roles that they're hiring. And there's none of that. So it's a very exciting service. There's no one on the planet doing it like us, because we really combine our AI software with our on-demand recruiters in a very, very easy to understand, subscription model. And personally, I think it's the cat's meow. So I invite your audience to come check it out. And then email me at evan@recruiter.com and let me know what you think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to be posting this to about 30,000 people that follow me on social media. I'll be emailing. Plus, I've got 2 companies, HR people that I'm going to send this to right after
There
we're
you go.
done. They already know. I
Nice.
mean, you say HR problems, they're like, oh, I know some people with HR problems, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And we should have thought about it, but we'll do this in real time. I'll go get you a promo code. We'll go figure out a promo code for your
Yeah,
audience also. So by the time you post it, we'll have a little promo code. We'll give everyone some sort of gift, percentage off, etc.
that'd
Look,
be great.
I think we could really, at the beginning, I used to be the chairman of the company, and in May of 20, at the height of the pandemic, I called a board meeting and I said to the board, look, when this pandemic is over, the job market is going to be in absolute disarray. I didn't know it was going to be this crazy. And we're going to be there as recruiter.com to help businesses of all sizes get back up and running. And that's really what we're doing. And it's exciting to watch.
It is exciting. Well, I really appreciate your insight, Evan. I mean, and I'm very excited for your company and for you, because I think this is going to be a game changer for a lot of businesses that struggle finding the talent, like you said, the war for talent, and number 2, even if they make an effort, paying those high headhunter fees almost becomes prohibitive, particularly
Yeah,
if you're coming out of a recession or your business was closed and you're short on cash and you go, okay, I need somebody, but I don't want to pay it. This
that's
is
right.
a simple technology solution that's affordable.
And at the end of the day here, recruiting is always about a human interaction. I
Yeah,
don't care bots, no bots, AI. At the end of the day here, there's a conversation that takes place between the candidate and the company, and we're never forgetting about that recruiting side of it, and we're going to make sure that happens, and we're just going to do it at scale and make it work better, stronger, and faster for everybody.
that's awesome. Okay, well, so glad you were here. Go to recruiter.com. I'll have my promo code here very shortly. I'll add that to the podcast and the YouTube show when I get it, and I get the thumbnail made, which will be next 24 to 48 hours
That's
with
great.
my virtual assistant who helps me on all this. So, Evan, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the best luck. And if you're a small business looking to recruit, hey, check out recruiter.com. This has been another edition of Growth Driven. Thanks for joining us.